What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. For anyone that is new here, hello, welcome. My name is Garrett. I'm currently an Embraer 145 captain, and I invite you to hit the subscribe button down below. Join the family on the journey to 100,000 subscribers. It's a goal of mine, it's a dream of mine to hit 100,000 subscribers, and we're gonna do it by the end of February. I know it. We're streaming on Microsoft Flight Simulator a few times a week. Maybe I might have to update it to every single day. The engagement there is insane. I get to talk to each and every single one of you. It's a great time, so make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. And if you really enjoy this video, make sure to smash the thumbs up button. So today we're gonna talk about airline seniority and how important it is. Now, if you watched previous videos of mine, you've heard me just basically cram it down your throat about getting your seniority number, trying to get your ratings as fast as possible, build your flight time, and get that seniority number. Now, I won't keep yelling it at you guys throughout this whole video. I'll let you guys make your assumption about how important it is. Now, airline seniority is everything to me and basically anyone in the airline industry, and we'll talk about it right now. So the first thing that we're gonna talk about with airline seniority is bases and how that can affect your quality of life tremendously. So let's say I'll use my personal example of when I was based up in Philadelphia and living in Charlotte. However, we didn't have a Charlotte base at the time, but we'll kind of just pretend that we did and that my seniority wasn't high enough for me to hold it. So tomorrow I have a 6 a.m. check-in time in Philadelphia. It is 11 a.m. here today, and I can't get to Philadelphia for that 6 a.m. check-in time tomorrow morning. There's no flights that leave here at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning that allow me to legally get there by my check-in time and have an additional backup flight in case that first flight, I don't get on it, it cancels, it diverts, whatever it might be. So I have to get there the day prior. So I would have to leave today. I'd have to leave my family behind today to go be legal for my 6 a.m. check-in time tomorrow. That affects your quality of life tremendously. Not only on the front side of the trip, that's one night additionally away from home on my 4-day trip. So now I'm 5 days away from home. Okay, let's say I get done at 10 p.m. in Philadelphia on day 4, okay? I can't get home that night. There's no 10 o'clock flights from Philadelphia to Charlotte. So yet another night that I'm spending away from my family. So that's 6 days of a 4-day trip that I'm spending away from my family. So you can see how throughout the month, if you have 3 or 4 trips, that can tremendously affect your quality of life and how seniority can play a big role in the bases. So pilots have basically a big bidding system where you can bid for what base you want, what aircraft you want, which we'll talk about in a minute. So if I live here in Charlotte and my seniority can't hold Charlotte, I have to bid for a base somewhere else. Now, Charlotte will be number 1, and the second that my seniority is high enough to hold Charlotte, I will then become a Charlotte base holder. And that's what eventually happened to me. And my quality of life shot up tremendously. So I can't preach it enough, even though I said I'm not gonna just yell at you guys the whole video. Seniority can affect your quality of life tremendously. Now, the next thing we're gonna talk about is the aircraft that you fly and how seniority is affected by that. Now, everyone wants to fly the big wide bodies across the pond, AKA the Atlantic Ocean, or across the Pacific Ocean to go to Asia and whatnot. Everyone wants to do it. It's a dream of basically every airline pilot, at least that I know. But you can't just get to the airlines and immediately say, hey, I want to fly a 777 to Hong Kong. It doesn't work that way. You got to work your way up through the ranks. Now, you can put 777 first officer as your number 1 seniority list, but you're not going to get it until your number can hold that position. So just like me, I'm a 145 captain, right? I couldn't get the 145 captain slot until my seniority held it. So I'm a first officer, I'm qualified, I got my flight time, boom, I finally can hold the very bottom of a 145 captain Charlotte base, and my seniority came up, and then I went to training for it. I went to training to upgrade. I also moved bases down to Charlotte. That's how that works. So you're moving through the ranks, and that's what seniority is all about. You have that dream, you know, 777 first officer routes to Hong Kong and Narita and Auckland, all those amazing international routes. And that's the top of your list, but you gotta work your way through the ranks, you know. 145, then I move up to mainline, maybe a 737, then a 321, then finally the 777, or unfortunately now the A330 is parked, but that was definitely an aircraft that I wanted to fly for the longest time. So you have your list, you have your ideal aircraft that you want to fly, but your seniority only allows you to fly X amount of aircraft until your seniority number has come up where you can hold that aircraft. The next thing we're going to talk about with airline seniority is line bidding. For anyone that's not in the aviation industry, line bidding is a set number of lines that have X amount of overnights, X amount of days off, weekends off, and so on and so forth. And you can see how that can already affect your quality of life. The most senior person, who is number one, can pick whatever line that they want. Let's say there's, to make things easy, 300 pilots, okay? I just held up 4. Okay, 300 pilots, and there's 300 lines. So obviously number 300 is probably gonna get the very last line. Not necessarily line number 300, because let's say the number one seniority person wants line 300, that's what they're gonna get. So number one can pick whatever they want. It's a computer automated system, but each line has certain overnights, certain days off. Not all of them have the same amount of days off. Some might have 15, some might have 11 days off a month. And then weekends, holidays, this is where seniority plays a huge factor, is holidays. There's pilots that work over Christmas, and a lot of people want Christmas off, but unfortunately the most junior pilots are typically gonna fly over the Christmases, the New Year's Eves, the Halloweens, whatever your holidays are that you want off. The most junior pilots typically fly those routes and those days on. So that's how seniority and line bidding can affect tremendously. And that also plays into place with vacation. Not only can you bid just for those days off on those holidays, but vacation slots. With my airline, they have the first half and the second half vacation slots of the month, all throughout the year. So you can bid for that second half of December, which means you would have vacation over Christmas time. So it all depends what's a priority to you, but obviously most people try and bid holidays off so they can spend time with family and friends. So with that being said, quality of life then again can be affected tremendously with airline seniority. So the last and final thing we're going to talk about with airline seniority is furloughs. Unfortunately, that is a situation that everyone is dealing with right now. And the people at the bottom of the seniority list, the lowest numbers, the most recent hires, are dealing with furloughs right now. Now, let's say I was hired in January of 2017, which is actually the case. And furloughs go up to February of 2017. That means that I missed the furlough cut by 1 month. You know how much 1 month can be affected by a check ride getting scheduled when I'm getting my ratings, or I just didn't feel like flying a couple days, so I got hired, just a few weeks later at the airlines because I didn't have my flight time. Just put that in perspective of how different being at the airline 1 month prior versus 1 month later. You can lose your job essentially. So the furloughs come up to the month prior to me getting furloughed, and that's insane. Talk about a huge drastic change to your life. You have your dream job and you're just smooth sailing to the finish line until retirement, and then all of a sudden something like this, a pandemic comes about and furloughs come up and grab you. Unfortunately, it happens. It's part of the industry. I couldn't dream of having another job at all, but the airline industry is very fluid, meaning it moves a lot, it has a lot of fluctuations, it has its ups and it has its downs, more ups than downs, thankfully. And we were on such a rocket ship before this pandemic came about, and then all of a sudden people were getting furloughed. Thankfully, it looks like the industry is really starting to turn around lately, with TSA reporting extremely high passenger count numbers. So we've seen a lot of those furloughs start to come back. I know my airline is starting to hire as of March. We're having 2 new hire classes, which is so amazing to hear. Furloughs are coming back. They're getting retrained. They only had a few months off, which is amazing. But that just shows how getting 1 month on at the airline prior to everyone else can pay dividends down the road. I'll leave you guys with one quick example that my father told me about. He got hired at the airlines, and his best friend got hired 2 weeks after him. So he was in the class right after him. A big recession came about. I'm not sure which one it was or whatnot, but my father upgraded to captain, and his good friend who was 2 weeks behind him was getting ready to upgrade to captain. Well, they ended up furloughing a lot of first officers down at the bottom. So what does that mean? A lot of those people are now seat locked as first officers up at the top that were getting ready to upgrade. He ended up being a first officer for 8 years while my father was at the bottom of the seniority list for captains. So that just shows, you know, getting captain pay versus first officer pay was a 2-week difference, and that lasted 8 years. So that just shows how important getting those seniority numbers are. So I hope this video helped you guys. If it did at all, smash the thumbs up button, leave a comment down below. Tell me your thoughts at airline seniority. If you're in the aviation industry, let me know what you guys thought about this video. And until next time, peace.